Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, yesterday I was watching CNN. I saw this story about Donald Trump. And this story is everywhere now. I'm sure by now most of you have heard about it. An audio tape had been released of a conversation between Donald Trump and the Georgia Secretary of State. And during that conversation, Donald Trump kept floating these ideas of voter fraud, claiming that various things had happened. And as a result of those things, he lost the election. He goes into all these conspiracy theories about voter machines, about ballots being shredded, about Dropbox being delivered late, about dead people voting, about people going to the polls and their names not being on the list. So he goes through a laundry list of allegations, debunked and ridiculous conspiracy theories. He talks to the Secretary of State about this in Georgia. And basically, he tries to pressure the Georgia Secretary of State, to change the outcome of the election, to actually literally fine over 11,000 votes so that he could win the election. And the thing that's so odd about this is that this happened a couple of days ago. This conversation that he had with this Secretary of State happened a few days ago, like well after this election has been decided by the Electoral College, after all the votes have been counted, after all the frivolous lawsuits that this man has filed have been dismissed, have been utter failures in court. This man still tries to apply pressure to the Secretary of State in Georgia. And he basically tells him that if he doesn't find these votes, if he doesn't take action, if he doesn't, further investigate or do anything else, that he will be in violation of the law. He's basically suggesting that the Secretary of State could be found to be, engaged in illegal activity. So I just want to take some time to share my thoughts. I mean, this says a lot about Donald Trump, and it's one of the reasons why I'm so glad that this man was voted out of office. I'm glad that the people went to the polls, marched to the polls and voted this man out, because this is a man who has no principles. He does not care about American democracy. While he's complaining about voter fraud, he's essentially asking an elected official to change the outcome of an election, to literally find votes so that he can be a winner. And it just speaks to just how corrupt this man is. It speaks to how much of a bully he is. I was listening to CNN and they were describing him as like a mob boss, like one person who used to work in like in law enforcement. They were talking about how they've listened to audio tapes of crime bosses and stuff like that. And they said that his tape with this Georgia Secretary of State sounds very similar in terms of the pressuring tactics, the bullying tactics, the demands and all that kind of stuff. This man, Donald Trump, doesn't care anything about democracy. He only cares about himself. He's all about self-promotion. He's a narcissist. And it's no coincidence that this is a man who has often made positive statements about dictatorships, and here he is engaging in activity that's like a dictator. He doesn't care about democracy. He wants to do whatever is necessary to remain in power. And, another thing is this, like, either this man is delusional or he's just outright corrupt. Like, because here you have a man claiming that all these conspiracies have taken place, but you've had all these investigations. The Georgia Secretary of State cites example after example of how they conducted an investigation. They talk about how they brought it before the state representatives. They've had investigations, there have been lawsuits and all this kind of stuff. And none of these lawsuits, none of these investigations uncovered any of this stuff that Donald Trump is talking about. So either Donald Trump is extremely delusional, which is possible, or he's just willing to do whatever it takes to remain in power by any means necessary, even if that means disenfranchising the American voters. that's what we're looking at. So this is a disgrace. It's despicable that you had this man trying to corrupt the voting process, cooking up all these ridiculous conspiracy theories. And it's a damn shame that you literally have YouTubers on here, black YouTubers at that, supporting this nonsense. This guy is just completely lost his mind. And it's a good thing that he is no longer going to be the president of the United States. And this is just a prime example of why these elections matter, why our votes matter. You have these ridiculous YouTubers on here basically suggesting that your vote doesn't count or that you should hold your vote. If we held our votes, we would have had 4 more years of this dictator, 4 more years of this racist, 4 more years of this xenophobic, sexist pig in the White House. So I am so glad that he was voted out. And again, this is a reminder of how important elections are. And another point is this, while he's claiming that all this voter fraud is what resulted in him losing, at the same time that he's saying this, he's acknowledging that all these Republicans won their elections and stuff like that in places like, places like Georgia and other places, like they won this on the state level. The Republicans have held on to the Senate, at least for now. So why is it that everything is fine with the other votes, in terms of how they voted for, the senators, the congressmen, the state elected officials, but it's only the issue when it comes to Donald Trump? That simply doesn't make sense. And, it's just absolutely absurd, and it's just completely outrageous. And as people have pointed out, if this had occurred, at some other time, there would have been cause for this guy to resign. There would have been cause for an impeachment, but he only has a few weeks left in the White House, and so people probably aren't going to go through the trouble of trying to impeach him again. But this speaks to just how corrupt he is, how despicable he is, and thank God he lost the election. So with that, I'm going to say peace and blessings to each and every one of you. Please rate, comment, subscribe, like the video, share the video, and tell me what you think. What do you think about this situation? To all those black Trump supporters, how do you explain away this shit? How do you explain away this? So anyway, tell me what y'all think. Peace and blessings. Have a great day.